Good evening, and welcome to the City of Roswell Mayor and City Council meeting for October 11th, 2022. I am Mayor Pro Tem Michael Palermo. For the record, Mayor Kurt Wilson has an excused absence. I will now turn it over to our City Administrator, Randy Knighton, to explain how the meeting is run. Mr. Knighton?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. In accordance with Section 3.70 of the City Code, the City Council shall hold regular public meetings. The purpose of City Council meetings are for the public to participate and speak on agenda items which constitute formal decisions by the elected body. These items are listed on the published agenda, which can be accessed at the rear of the room and also at the podium, and also on our websites prior to the meeting. This is a public meeting, and some items do require a formal public hearing. A significant and important component of City Council meetings are to hear directly from citizens on items listed on the published agenda. Public comments or questions are essential for Mayor and Council to incorporate as they contemplate each decision. Citizens are at the top of our organizational chart, and therefore it is imperative for Mayor and Council to hear from citizens in these meetings. If you would like to speak on an item, we ask that you fill out a comment card, which are located in the back of the room and at the podium, in order to ensure an accurate record of the meeting. We ask, of course, that everyone observe the principles of mutual respect and display the appropriate demeanor during the course of these meetings this evening, which should be reflective of this great community. Mayor Pro Tem is the presiding officer of this meeting and will ensure the orderly exchange of comments, questions, and discussion leading to decision-making by the elected body. I would also encourage those in attendance and the viewing audience to visit the city website for meetings, events, and departmental information. We also encourage you to review and participate in the various activities and offerings in the city. There are a number of events scheduled upcoming in the city of Roswell, which the Mayor Pro Tem will talk about under the Mayor's report, which promote community, physical activity, and leisure as we all make Roswell the #1 family community in America. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Knighton. And to start out the meeting, it is definitely an honor to call Monsignor Peter Rao from St. Peter Chanel to the front for the invocation and moment of silence.
Thank you. As Catholics, we come before a triune God, so we pray in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord our God, guided a people now, a cloud by day, a fire by night. We ask your Spirit now to guide now the wisdom of this board, this council, as they make decisions, keeping in mind now the common good and the welfare of the good people of Roswell. We ask your blessing upon all gathered here today, and for those who cannot be with us. And we make our prayer all through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Monsignor. And funny thing is I run with people from church, and normally they don't care about my city council meetings during the week, but when they found out the Monsignor was going to be here, they actually paid a little more attention. So with it, it's also a great honor and appreciate. I would like to call Rich Austin, who is a member of the Roswell Rotary Club, to come forward and lead us in the pledge.
As a resident of East Roswell, I'd like to thank the council and the mayor and all the city staff for everything. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance to the greatest country in the world. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the mayor's report. My first item is the reading of a proclamation for the Esteemed Veteran of Roswell Award to Major Jason Clark. I'd like to call Major Jason Clark forward for the proclamation. Proclamation from the Office of the Mayor. Major Jason Clark, esteemed veteran of Roswell. Whereas in April 2002, Jason Clark joined his close high school friends by enlisting into the United States Army. It was the terroristic attacks on 9/11 that compelled Jason to enlist and serve our country. Jason reported to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, that same year and began his distinguished military career. And whereas throughout his career, Major Clark has served more than 20 years of exceptionally meritorious service in the United States Army, Army Reserves, and Georgia Army National Guard. Jason's service included 2 successful deployments abroad. In 2003, in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Baghdad, Iraq, and Operation Iraqi Freedom. In support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Major Clark served as the reserve liaison for the Department of Military Engineering. During this time, he also graduated from the Sapper Leader Course class, which consisted of a demanding leadership course for combat engineers. It highlights training soldiers and troops leading procedures, demolitions, and mountaineering operations. The course culminates intense field training, exercises that reinforce the use of battle drills and specialized engineering techniques. And whereas in 2008, during Operation Iraqi Freedom, Major Clark served as a platoon leader in the 848th Engineer Company, 2nd Brigade Combat Team, and the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. Jason successfully led his platoon on over 150 combat missions and clearing over 6,200 miles through the city of Baghdad. Also, as company commander, while serving in the 878th Engineer Battalion, he was accountable for over $13 million worth of specialized military equipment. And whereas in Baghdad, Iraq, Jason's route clearance patrol came across a head-on car collision involving several wounded civilians. Jason was instrumental in setting up a perimeter, and without hesitation, Sergeant Friedel, who was a medic, jumped out of his truck to render first aid. Jason ordered the ground team out of the trucks to help assist in the rescue effort. Specialist Gandy, who was Jason's driver, immediately started working the radios and calling in air support and medevac helicopters without direct orders, but by his own initiative. The only major injury was to a 3-month-old baby who got ejected through the front windshield of one of the vehicles. Sergeant Friedel, in a matter of seconds, bandaged the baby's arm and head, and when our medevac helicopter had arrived, they were able to send the baby and father to a local hospital. Upon arrival to the base, they were informed that the child was in surgery and had sustained injuries that would heal and fully expected to recover. Jason was proud of his team and their actions, especially in a situation where they were not trained to perform. And whereas, while serving in the United States Army, Major Jason Clark was honored and bestowed the following medals: Bronze Star, Iraq Campaign Medal, Army Accommodation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, 2nd Award, National Defense Service Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Army Service Medal, and Armed Forces Reserve Medal with M-Device 2nd Award, and Bronze de Fleury Medal. Now therefore, I, Kurt M. Wilson, Mayor of the City of Roswell, and I, Mike Palermo, do hereby name Major Jason Clark, an esteemed veteran of Roswell, and call upon our citizens to recognize his outstanding service to our country and our community, and that there is no higher calling than those who have served in the United States Armed Forces. Start with you. I'd love for you to have a few words to say.
I just want to say thanks to Roswell and to people I served with. Like, they were the best friends I've ever had, and it's hearing those words was just touching. That's all.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Excellent. Thank you very much. And just with what as big as Roswell has grown, it's so amazing, such a small community. And just learning tonight, our esteemed veteran, having his daughter in the same class as my son, just a small town and just great community that we live in. So definitely, Grace, look forward to telling Joseph all about you. And so with that, moving on, I would like to talk about the next item on the mayor's report. And this one definitely emotional in the sense that what's interesting is tonight we just had who I believe is the youngest esteemed Roswell in Georgia. And earlier this year, we had the absolute just complete honor of getting to meet one of the oldest esteemed veterans in the city of Roswell, which was just a moving story. So I'm going to read the item, which is recognition of the life of World War II esteemed veteran, second-class quartermaster Edward George Bernard, who passed away Thursday, September 29th, 2022. Second-class quartermaster Edward George Bernard was the city's first World War II esteemed veteran and was recognized at the March 14th Mayor and Council meeting. Second-class quartermaster Edward George Bernard was at Normandy and the southern France invasions, and on June 6, 1944, as a quartermaster on the English landing craft tank rocket 373 ship, he helped launch the largest amphibious invasion in history, the Normandy invasion. First into battle on D-Day, the LCTRs launched their rockets at critical land targets to destroy enemy strongholds before the Allied soldiers stormed the beaches. Please always remember him and recognize his outstanding service. His daughter, Carmen Baker, and son-in-law, Joe Baker, are here tonight, and we would love to have them come forward to the podium, please. Absolutely, please. It would be an honor. Excellent.
Take a little liberty, sorry.
Not sure if it was working.
Excellent, thank you. Would you like to say a few words or anything coming to mind?
Oh,
There's actually.
Right there.
right here?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Well, we weren't prepared to speak, but in March, Dad was really touched, sorry, by you guys honoring him. As you can see his words up there, that it was really a pleasure for him. We had a police escort over from his place, and he just really didn't understand why everyone was making such a big deal about him. And we were just said, because, you know, Dad, you love people, you love your community, and they really want to honor you for the life that you've led. And so we can't thank the city of Roswell enough for honoring him, and then for this evening as well.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Thanks.
The next item on the mayor's report is the upcoming events for the city of Roswell. So on Friday, October 14th, so this Friday, the Bootacular Fun Run, Roswell Area Park. The fun run starts at 7 p.m. and it's not a timed run. So it's about little less than 2.5 miles. And after the run, you can enjoy a hayride and roasting marshmallows. It's a fun family event, and no scary costumes are invited, so it should be fun for kids of all ages. The cost to partake is $22, and so that's what we have going on Friday in the city of Roswell. Also Friday in Roswell, we have a mother-son Halloween dance from 7 to 9 at the Bill Johnson Community Activity Building. So there'll be dancing, music, games, prizes, refreshments, pictures, and hopefully a lot of fun. So all boys and adult females are welcome. The cost for this is $14. We have Alive in Roswell, Thursday, October 20th. So I don't think I need to explain what Alive in Roswell is, but of course that's a free event on Canton Street and really one of the best outdoor street festivals in the metro area. We have a fun Halloween funhouse Friday, October 21st from 4:30 to 7 at East Roswell Recreation Center. So children 8 and under come dressed in costumes, and of course they can come as they are for face painting and carnival games, inflatables, hay rides, and more. So again, this is Friday evening, October 21st. And then on Saturday, we have Roswell Riverside Sounds. So Saturday, October 22nd at 7 p.m. at Riverside Park. So we're going to have, I think that's Ruby Vele and the Sulphonics. And so if you haven't been to Riverside Sounds, I definitely recommend it. It's just a great outdoor concert and a lot of fun and just a great chance to be outside before it gets too cold. On Sunday, October 23rd, we have the Native American Culture of the Southeast. So that is Sunday, October 23rd from 2 to 4 at Riverside Park. So we have the demonstrator being Jim Sawgrass, and this is hosted by Roswell Historic Assets. The Historic Arts Division of the city will partner with Creek descendants Jim and Cody Sawgrass for a Native culture presentation, a display of historic artifacts, and a Native American hoop dance performance. This event will give guests the opportunity to learn more about the Creek and Cherokee people who once called the Chattahoochee River home. This is an event for free. Dia de Muertos, and we certainly have, Janet can correct me if I'm pronouncing anything wrong, just as my daughter often corrects me when my Spanish pronunciation is not right. But Saturday, October 29th from 2 to 8 on City Hall grounds. So this has definitely turned into a very large event right here at City Hall. And so Roswell will host the 3rd annual Dia de Muertos Festival. Visitors of all ages are invited to celebrate this traditional Mexican holiday, which will feature an afternoon and evening filled with fun, remembrance, and community spirit. Dia de Muertos, or Day of the Dead, is traditionally celebrated October 31st to November 2nd in the central and southern regions of Mexico. The holiday is centered around remembrance of lost loved ones as communities come together to celebrate their memory and pray for the safe spiritual journey. This year's festival is presented in partnership with the Consulate General of Mexico. The festival is free to the public with the exception of food vendors and one special ticketed experience. Yes, a very important one that I'll certainly ask the liaison over public safety to mention.
Thank you so much, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. Tomorrow, if you're around and interested, at 4 o'clock in chambers right here, our very own Roswell Fire Department will be swearing in, I think, 18 of our finest in the fire department. These are not our brand new hires. That'll come at another time, but this is certainly open to the public. It's a landmark moment showing that we're moving toward a full-time fire department, and it's a really big deal to those that have already been serving. So you're welcome to come. Come as you are, and that's at 4 o'clock here tomorrow. You do not have to RSVP. Just show up and support. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Great point. Thank you, Councilmember Hills. And as we talk about public safety, also would like to congratulate Chad Miller. So the fire department's fire and life safety educator and public information officer, and his wife Emma and big brother Valor on having a new member in the family. Titus William Miller arrived on Tuesday, September 20th. He was 6.15 pounds and 20 inches. We were told with that size, it will make it difficult to find turnout gear that fits, but definitely, as you can imagine, he'd be a great addition to our Roswell Fire family. And so with that, congratulations to the Miller family. Excellent. And so next is the consent agenda. Council, do I have any comments or questions on the consent agenda? All right, for the public, questions or comments on the consent agenda? All right, bring it back to council. And with no comments, I will call for a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Excellent, we have a motion with Councilmember Hall, a second from Councilmember Hills. All in favor? That passes unanimously. On to the regular agenda. I will call on the liaison over administration and governance, Councilmember Hills.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. This evening, we seek approval to move the October 24th, 2022 Mayor and Council meeting to East Roswell Park Recreation Center at 7 o'clock. Deputy Administrator, is Michael Fisher here?
I will sit in for Mr. Michael
All
Fisher.
right, beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton.
Yes, as Councilmember Hills mentioned, this is consideration for moving the October 24, 2022 Mayor and Council meeting to East Roswell Park Recreation Center, obviously at the same time of 7 o'clock p.m. If the Mayor and Council are inclined, we have taken a look at the logistics of hosting a meeting there, and certainly it is doable. And we certainly look forward to consideration by the Mayor and Council, if you're so inclined, to move that October 24th meeting to East Roswell Park.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. So this is something I certainly would like to discuss with staff and this council. So first of all, I do think it's a great idea to have meetings on the east side, and I think the East Roswell Park Recreation Center is a great location for it. So my question and thoughts are not if we do it or where we do it, it's just when we do it. So, Mr. Knighton, you mentioned that the logistics are doable. Yet, what I really want to understand is, my concern is typically both from the east side and from the west side, we have more attendees typically watching online, whether it's live or watching recorded. So it's to me, it's an utmost priority that the audio visual, all the different aspects of like that will be completely clear and helpful for any residents watching. And so I guess my question is, do you feel totally ready for October 24th? Or do you feel it would be a later date where you'd be 100% ready to make sure that anybody watching virtually is having the same incredible experience that I hope they're having when they're listening to it in City Hall?
Sure. No, that's a very good question, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. Certainly it can be done at East Roswell Park. Obviously, we do not have the apparatus that we have here at City Hall with numerous cameras that will be able to view from different angles. The angles would be limited at East Roswell Park in terms of the viewing audience. We believe the sound would be fairly comparable, perhaps not as clear and pristine as the sound here, again, because of the entrenched apparatus that we have here in terms of audio-visual. So yes, in terms of actual quality, it would certainly be a step down from the present location here in City Hall, just simply because this was outfitted with the equipment for regular meetings. But it is doable and possible to have something streamed from that particular location.
Councilmember Hall?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I would just like to make a request that we do enhance the speakers or the sound. We had a lot of feedback from the public when we held our budget meetings there. We were streaming those, that they were extremely difficult to hear. So just a point to perhaps put some extra microphones out.
Councilman Vanstrom?
October 24th was chosen, why? Because I mean, I'd really love to see this happen. I mean, I'm big about getting over to East Roswell as much as I can and we can. But I'm thinking maybe a little more notification for the general public might be helpful as well.
Sure. There was some discussion about an earlier meeting and it was pushed out to October 24th. But certainly, we will follow direction of the elected body here in determining if and when you would like to have a council meeting at a remote location.
So it's where, again, as I mentioned, I absolutely do want to see us having a council meeting at the East Roswell Park Recreation Center. I definitely want that on the calendar, but I guess now I have two concerns with the exact date chosen. Is one, has staff done everything possible to make sure that it's going to be the best possible sound, best possible video, et cetera? Or would a 2-week, 4-week, 6-week extension or whatnot give staff more time to just really set our virtual opportunities up the best for residents? And number two is from a raising awareness standpoint, it is only 2 weeks from today, if I'm correct. So with that, I guess I'd rather pick a date where we have a full month or 6 weeks or whatnot to really make it clear to everybody on this exact date to hopefully plan ahead. And I hope to see many residents from the east side and the west side of Roswell all attending that meeting. So I don't picture I'll be voting tonight unless there is a 2-2 deadlock. But those are just some things I'll ask this council take into consideration. Councilmember Hills.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. I believe that Mayor Wilson had first brought this up just on, shall I say, a high from the Bond road shows, being out and amongst our fellow citizens, our fellow residents. So this I could easily see tabling to have some conversation amongst ourselves, council members and Mayor Pro Tem, and then come back and revisit that if there's any concern, because the last thing we want to do is come forth with a great idea and can't execute it well. So when you're ready, let me know and I'll make a motion on that.
And I agree. Something to consider is, so I definitely share that sentiment. And again, I think everything I'm hearing up here is there's no discussion of whether or not there should be a council meeting at the East Roswell Park. The discussion is really just around the timing and the preparation. Something to consider could be to motion to bring to the next committee which date should the meeting occur. So again, there should be no question for the public that this meeting will be occurring at the East Roswell Park. That's certainly the only thing I'll be voting in favor for when I have the opportunity to vote. But purely the discussion of what is the right time to set that up and how do we properly make sure all residents are aware of it. So just something to consider. Councilman Vanstrom.
Thank you. I don't see why we can't motion this just forward with a 2-week delay and make it a month, if anybody's amenable to that while we're here, just to move it forward. We've already had discussions about it. I know the mayor's been talking about it, and I'm not opposed at all to just saying, hey, let's make sure we've got 4 weeks to advertise this. Let's make sure that we get it out to the public, and let's make sure the staff does everything possible in that time to enhance the sound. Just a suggestion.
Councilman Morthland.
So, Mr. Knighton, as it stands right now, City Administrator Knighton, excuse me, as it stands right now, we are out there and able to produce a council meeting. We just are quite unsure of the sound and reception quality.
Right, we're able to produce there. If there was a delay, again, per the mayor and council, Mayor Pro Tem and council, then obviously we would take a look at perhaps additional measures that we could implement to enhance quality of sound and or viewing capacity. Right now, again, it's doable, but if there were more time allotted, we would certainly be able to explore other options that would enhance the quality for the viewing audience.
Okay. With that being understood, I'm totally fine with pushing this down 2 more weeks, make it a month from now, whatever the consensus is.
Any other comment? Well, so actually, with that, let's take a break from mayor and council comment. I'd like to call for public comment. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this item? Ms. Roswell, please state your name and
Russell.
address.
There's only 2 citizens here tonight at this meeting. That ought to tell you a lot about advance notification. Everybody's used to a meeting on Monday night. And this was pushed to tonight because apparently yesterday was a holiday except for the employees of the city of Roswell. They all worked. So you're not going to be doing any favors to anybody by only giving them 2 weeks' notice. People are creatures of habit. They're going to expect things. Also, check and see what holiday is 4 weeks from now, because I believe that's Veterans Day week, November 10th. So if you push it to November 3rd or whatever it is, just keep an eye out on that. You have to look at, in context, at the whole thing. It's also the day before elections. So remember that when you're planning these things. I don't know where you're going to have it at the East Roswell Park, in the gym or in that little room that's off to the left. When you enter the lobby, there's like a multi-purpose room over there, or are you planning on having it in the gym? So it will look like you're in the Coliseum somewhere with 4 people watching the thing, because everybody just stays home and watches it online now, because they can have a beer in their underwear and watch it. That's why they don't come here anymore. Doesn't matter. Yeah, it's a visual. It's special. So I'm just telling you, one, they need more advance notice, because you're just spinning your wheels and wasting your time going over there if nobody shows up. And we, from the west side, we can't get there by 7 o'clock. It's gridlocked in all directions. We can't go south, go across to Riverside, because you can't get down. Tonight, for example, southbound was backed up to here. So we can't go south, and we can't turn left down at the river because there's no left turn arrow. And then if we go right and we come this way, remember, they're closing this road in front of the Southern Post this week for a few months. And they're closing the road on that side on Oxbow on Highway 9 is closed. And they're closing Georgia 400, 285 and 400 between Ashford, Dunwoody, and Roswell Road for 8 months, 1 lane. And all that traffic's going to come down Highway 9 as a diversion. So just remember that when you're trying to invite people to come. We are stuck like mud on this side of town for the next 10 months with road closures. So I think, you know, you better check on the visuals and the audio, because that's where everybody's going to watch it, is at home. And if we happen to have a cold spell, they'll be under a blanket with a hot cup of liquor.
Any other public comment? All right, I'll bring it back to council. Councilmember Hills?
Yes, and Ms. Russell, great comments. I will say, just for the general public consumption, Fulton County Schools was off Monday for Columbus Day, today for professional development, and tomorrow for teacher work day. So half of Las Vegas is at the beach right now. So I just wanted to point that out, not challenging anybody, but absolutely. So with that, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo, if I may, make a motion to potentially move this date to November 14th. Yeah. To move the mayor and council meeting to East Roswell Park Recreation Center at 7 p.m. That's November 14th, and we can talk about it in between.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you. Councilman Vanstrom, second. And so before I call for a vote, any additional comment from council? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? And that passes unanimously. Councilmember Hills?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. Seeking approval to move the October 31st, 2022 open forum mayor and council meeting to November 1st, which is the following day at 7 p.m. And that is moving it from Halloween evening to the following day, November 1st.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilmember Hills. And
City Administrator, Mr. Knighton, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I think that you certainly explained it very well there. The only purpose is because Halloween is on that Monday, of moving it to the following day on Tuesday, November 1st.
so with that, I certainly think it is a good thing to move it off October 31st, because I do not think that the majority of residents in Roswell would see their priority coming here on that night. I will warn this council that if you do choose to move it to November 1st, unfortunately, I am not able to attend on the 1st. I am able to attend on the 31st, but I'm concerned that other residents would not actually come to talk with us, so.
Motion to approve.
Any comments from council?
We'll miss you.
Yeah. Any comments from the public? All right, bring it back to council. Any additional comments? So in that case, I'll call for a motion.
Motion to approve moving the meeting on October 31st, 2022, the open forum mayor and council meeting to November 1st, the following day of 2022 at 7 p.m. Sans, council member Palermo.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? That passes unanimously. Now we'll move on to community development, and as liaison, I have requested that Councilman Vanstrom go ahead and lead this item for me.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Community Development Department approval of a text amendment to the Unified Development Code regarding Section 6.5.2, use table for self-service storage use. Second reading. Ms. Dybel will be presenting. You made it up from the back row, kind of just a little at a time there. That was good.
And Mr. Davidson,
And
let's
Mr. Davidson
let's
will
hear
be
this.
Thank you. This is an ordinance to amend the Unified Development Code by modifying Article 6, Section 6.5.2, use table regarding self-storage. Now therefore, the mayor and council of the city of Roswell, Georgia, pursuant to their authority, do hereby amend Article 6, Section 6.5.2, use table of the Unified Development Code, the text of which is incorporated herein by reference, and if approved, this is the second reading.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is, as stated, the second reading for UDC Section 6.5.2, self-service storage use. This was heard by committee on June 28th of this year. It was initiated by Council in July. It was heard by the Planning Commission on August 16th, and it had its first reading by the Mayor and Council on September 12th. And it is here this evening for second reading. The request here is to replace the P as permitted to an L limited use for all self-service storage use in the IL Industrial Light Zoning District. And as I stated in the first reading, I'll go through that again. What that means is it'll be a limited use, and the limitations that are listed in section 9.6.4 would be required to be followed once it's changed to a limited use. And those use standards are the following. Minimum lot size, 2 acres. All storage must be contained within a fully enclosed building. However, the storage of boats, recreation vehicles, or other similar vehicles are allowed subject to 9.7.18. Loading and unloading of units must be accomplished solely within the inside of an enclosed building. If windows are used in exterior walls of the enclosed building, such windows shall be tinted or otherwise screened to shield the storage units within from view from the outside building. No roll-top doors shall be used on the exterior of the building enclosing the storage units. The ground floor of self-storage facilities shall not be used for storage units, but may be used for office and retail sales related to the storage or for other uses or for other purposes allowed in that zoning district. Outside of the historic district, a variance can be requested to the mayor and council for the ground floor requirements. And a type A or B buffer must be established along all shared property lines, except for when abutting a self-service storage or other light industrial use. Staff recommends approval of the second reading of this ordinance.
Thank you, Ms. Dybel. And I'll reiterate some of my statements from the earlier meetings where we've discussed this, like at the first reading, et cetera. So this is really just changing back to where we were prior to 2021, I believe. And so basically in 2018, there was a great amount of work and what I believe led to a unanimous decision to create these different limited type rules, which is really to just help protect the character of Roswell. So if you see newer storage units that are built in Alpharetta or Sandy Springs, you see them being built in a way to not take away from the neighboring properties in the area, et cetera. And basically, an example of it is if you want to see a storage unit that would no longer be available under this, you can actually go over to Sun Valley. So Sun Valley near Highway 9, you'd see one of the older storage units, which if we don't change this, then that actually ends up being allowed without any public input. So anyone that has that zoning would be able to go ahead and build one of that older style storage units. So this is going to create the opportunity to make sure that it's just interacting with neighboring buildings and creating some character opportunities there. So I think City Council did a great job in 2018 of unanimously creating all this, and I think it worked really well. I disagree with the 4-3 vote that took these requirements away, and I definitely very much appreciate this if this council chooses to bring that back, just to make sure we're making sure for Roswell residents we're going to see high quality development for when storage units are chosen to be built. So again, I don't expect to vote tonight, but certainly I hope it's clear that if it's a tie, I will be voting in favor of the second reading. Any comments from council?
Yes, sir. Thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. I think it's just a no-brainer for this council to be approving this, because there's no reason that these public storage facilities shouldn't fit the character in the area in which they're being built, and that's simply what we're making sure happens here. And so I think it's a wonderful amendment to the UDC. So thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilman Vanstrom. Any other comments from council? Any comments from the public? All right, bring back to council. Any final comments or questions? All right, I will call for a motion. Councilman Vanstrom.
Motion to approval of the text amendment to the UDC regarding section 6.5.2, use table for storage use, second reading.
Second. Excellent. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? That passes unanimously. So now we'll move on to Environmental Public Works Department, and as liaison, I've requested that Councilmember Hall, if you could lead this item.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. Item number 4, approval for the mayor and/or city administrator to sign a contract with Federal EC LLC for 5 stormwater linings projects in the amount of $237,125, and this will be presented by Director Sharon Iso.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mayor Pro Tem. This is a project to bundle our top 5 CIP lining projects into one project for 519 linear feet of work. This is the first time we have bundled this number of projects together, and we are very pleased with the results. We think it provides a significant savings to the community and an excellent value at $237,125. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Council, questions? All right. Are there any questions or comments from the public? All right, bringing it back to council. Councilmember Hills.
Real quick, thank you very much, Ms. Iso. This is another way that our city is taking care of the infrastructure of our city, not in a time of desperation, but in a time of preparation. So I applaud your efforts. Thank you for pulling this together, and I'll be supporting this evening.
Thank you. Any additional comments?
Motion to approve item number 4.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hall, a second by Councilmember Hills. All in favor? Yeah, that passes unanimously by a close one, but unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Iso. Now move over to Public Safety Department. Councilmember Hills.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. Is seeking approval of a resolution to accept the FFY 2022 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, also known as JAG, and budget amendment BA 221-32230-10-11-22 in the amount of $22,606. Chief Conroy, would you do the honors, please, sir?
All right, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and City Council. This is the, what we normally call the JAG grant. This is a grant that we typically receive every year. The amount differs. The money is distributed to the City of Atlanta, who disperses the money to all of the other eligible law enforcement agencies in Fulton County based on crime statistics. So this year we were awarded $22,606, and the items that this will be used to purchase would be 4 traffic analyzers to enhance our speed study capabilities, a motorcycle trailer to transport our motorcycles, adjustable power optics for the perimeter members of the SWAT team. There is no match to this grant as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? All right, I will bring it back to council. Any final questions or comments for the chief? I'll call for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. I do love a no-match grant. I motion to approve the resolution to accept the FFY 2022 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, the JAG grant, and budget amendment BA 221-32230-10-11-22 in the amount of $22,606.
Do I have a second? Councilmember Hall. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? That passes unanimously. Councilmember Hills?
Yes. Seeking approval for the Roswell Police to accept 3 K-9 ballistic vests donated by the Georgia Police K-9 Foundation. Chief Conroy.
So this is a no-match donation from the Georgia Police K-9 Foundation for 3 vests. The vests are valued at $1,550 each for a total donation value of $4,650. This would provide 1 ballistic vest for each of our 3 police K-9s. You may be aware the Georgia State Police lost a K-9 in the line of duty, was shot and killed last week. And from my prior experience, my prior department, we had 3 of our police K-9s were shot and wounded during my tenure there as police chief.
Comments? Do I have any questions or comments from the public? Bring it back to council.
Motion to approve the Roswell Police Department to accept 3 K-9 ballistic vests donated by the Georgia Police K-9 Foundation.
Second by Councilman Vanstrom. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? That passes unanimously.
Seeking approval of a resolution to accept the fiscal year 2022 Bulletproof Vest Partnership, also known as BVP, grant in the amount of $24,864.75, and budget amendment BA 221-32230-10-11-12 in the amount of $49,729.50. Chief Conroy, please.
So this is another one of those grants that we typically receive every year. Unfortunately, there is a match to this. The grant is the amount of $24,864.75 with matching funds of $24,864.75 for a total of $49,729.50 from the U.S. Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance. This would purchase approximately 64 ballistic vests for the replacement for our police officers.
Any comments? Do I have any questions or comments from the public? Council, call for a motion.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Motion to approve the resolution to accept the fiscal year 2022 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant in the amount of $24,864.75 and budget amendment BA 221-32230-10-11-22 in the amount of $49,729.50.
Excellent. Do I have a second?
Second.
Excellent. All in favor? That passes unanimously.
Not very much.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. So now we'll move on to Recreation, Parks, Historic and Cultural Affairs with Councilman Will Morthland leading that. Councilman Morthland?
This Jackie Ibrahim is going to be presenting on behalf of Jeff this season.
And I'm not sure that Jackie is the safest driver in the history of Youth Day, but definitely for 2022, the safest driver on all of Youth Day.
Excuse me. So we are going to be talking about approval of resolution to accept a Transportation Federal Lands Access Program FLAP grant to study the feasibility of a trail connection from Oxbow Road parking lot to the Vickery Creek Connection Trail, and budget amendment BA 22-16200-10-11-22 in the amount of $150,000.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. My name is Jackie Ibrahim, and I'm with the Roswell Recreation, Parks, Historic, and Cultural Affairs Department. This item before you this evening is a resolution to accept a FLAP grant for a trail connection feasibility study. On January 24th, 2022, Mayor and Council approved a resolution to submit a Federal Lands Access Program, or FLAP grant application, to study the feasibility of a trail connection from Oxbow Road parking lot to the Vickery Creek Connection Trail in the amount of $150,000. On September 1st, 2022, the city was notified that this project was selected and identified for programming. So just a brief overview on FLAP. The purpose of the grant is to provide safe and adequate access to and through federal lands for all visitors. The FLAP supplements state and local resources for public roads, transit systems, and other transportation facilities, with an emphasis on high-use recreation sites and economic generators. The feasibility study is regarding a connection between existing trails that currently dead-end at the Vickery Falls trails across the creek to the Chattahoochee River National Recreation Area, the Vickery Falls unit. This project would include 2 bridge crossings at or near the location of the current Fulton County sewer pipe crossings. So the images on the screen now are the 2 existing Fulton County pipe crossings. People use those as bridges, which is obviously not safe nor accessible, so we are trying to plan around that. So this is just a map of the scope area. The 2 pipe crossings that you just saw are noted on the map by the red dots, and then the blue star in the middle lower portion of the map is where the waterfall is. So along with the bridges, the project analysis will also include construction of 0.25 miles of trail, connecting the existing 0.25 miles of walking trail on city property to the Vickery Creekway Trail across the creek on federal land. This grant is in the amount of $150,000 for a study of the engineering, feasibility, and cost estimate for the proposed trail connection, and it is no match. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you, Jackie. Council, any questions? Does the public have any questions or comments on this? And as always, please state your name and where you live.
My name is Sue Dupart. I live at 500 Shadowwood Court, and I was wondering if there's a planned connection if you were bicycling down the beautiful Grimes Bridge to Oxbow Road and you wanted to go to that parking lot and you take that pebble paved area and then you get to a tar path that leads to Sloan Street. Is any improvement plan made there? If I'm going to Barrington Hall on my bicycle and I take that route and walk up that sloppy tar trail to Sloan Street to the light to go to Barrington Hall, is there any planned improvement there?
At the end of Sloan Street, y'all know where Oxbow comes in there, and they're working on that. So I believe transportation is, and
Environmental and Public Works have been working on that trail because we had a lot of washout area in there. So that's getting redone as you go up to Sloan Street. But as far as connecting to Barrington, that hasn't been decided.
No, I know, I'm just saying that tar, if you're coming from Sloan Street, between some houses, there's a place you can enter a trail. And then you walk the bicycle down that steep vertical. And then you get to the low spot where the pea gravel begins. So I didn't know if there was any planned improvement on that trail or ever.
To make that trail, hard surface trail down on Oxbow?
Well, yeah, or just a little safer for walking or you're transporting.
Yeah, we'll
You know,
continue
okay.
to monitor that trail. You know, it washes a little bit, but
Right.
it's probably safe for bikes on there. I don't think it's just pedestrian.
I walk it, but it's just kind of interesting. You see the sloppy tar, you know,
Sure.
like on Thomas Street, when the school went in and they poured some sloppy tar to guide the water where the sidewalk ended for the county. And that's one of my priorities. When you build a sidewalk leading to nowhere, you know, with a school, you know, the better we plan things and connect things.
Sure.
The more they're used. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for that comment. Any additional questions or comments from the public? Council, any additional questions or comments? Councilmember Hills.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Palermo. Councilmember Morthland and I walked a lot of this trail with several city employees several months back and a couple of trail experts, and it's great. It's a very challenging but doable trail system, and I can be somewhat brave, but I wouldn't have crossed that pipe at all. So I think this would be a great asset for this park, and I think it's great. I also want to add that on our Bond Road Show that we've been doing, hither and yon weekly, we've had, I dare say challenges, but we've had several questions about spending money on bonds and are we looking for grants and looking at other directions to pay for certain things that we're proposing. And I just want to point out that on this agenda this evening, we have 4 different grant opportunities, 1 in transportation, 2 in public safety, 1 in rec and parks, and then we also had a couple in our committee meetings earlier today. So again, I applaud you all for going after this. This is for our residents and for us, both residents and electeds, and that's a big deal. And it just goes to show that the brain is always moving here with our city employees and our grant department, which is stellar. And we're very fortunate to have a grant department that's doing so much to reach out to our departments and present things that come up that you all are willing to dig in and go for. So thank you very much. I'll definitely be supporting this.
Great points. Thank you, Councilmember Hills. Any additional comments? Councilman Morthland?
Ms. Ibrahim, correct me if I'm wrong, but Director Leatherman tasked you with going out and finding this grant and doing the work. Is that correct?
He found it, but I did a lot of the legwork, and I did have a lot of help from staff and some of our community partners, so we certainly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
So I think what I'm hearing is Mr. Leatherman found an advertisement, and then you and staff worked really hard to actually get it for us. Thank you.
Very nicely done.
Yeah. Great point, Councilman Morthland. I appreciate it. And with that, Councilman Morthland, do you have a motion?
Motion to approve the resolution to accept a Transportation Federal Lands Access Program FLAP grant to study the feasibility of a trail connection from Oxbow Road parking lot to Vickery Creek Connection Trail and budget amendment BA 22-162-000-10-11-22 in the amount of $150,000.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember Hills beat you to the punch. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? That passes unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to the city attorney's report. Mr. Davidson?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The only item I have is a recommendation for closure to discuss personnel litigation and real estate.
I have a motion. Councilmember Hall? Councilman Vanstrom, thank you for the second. All in favor? That is unanimous, and this meeting is adjourned.